What is that? Yeah. See this blue line with the hatch marking on it?
Yeah.
That's prohibited area. P-56. Okay? Then you have another one inside it. But that is what a prohibited area looks like. It's no different than looking at a MOA or anything else. It's just a different color. The restricted areas are blue also like that. Okay? They're charted the same way. If you look at us. Out here, it's that same blue with the hatch marking, okay? Both prohibited and restricted are gonna look the same way. All right?
The
Does
difference.
that mean around DC that that entire circle and everything within it was prohibited? Okay.
Yes.
So the main way to tell the difference between the two is because this restricted has an R in
Yep.
it and the. Okay.
MP for the other one. Yep. And it's gonna have the same information on the sectional, P-56, and it's gonna have the controlling agency when it's active and the frequency you can contact them on, okay? But us as VFR pilots, not going in there. There's something else there that we'll talk about in a bit. What is this red thing around it? Does anybody know what that is? That is a TFR. There's a temporary flight restriction that's permanent.
How temporary?
DC.
Misnomer.
That's President 11.
Temporary permanent.
There's a lot of stuff to change after that.
Yeah.
There's something else. I don't know if this has been around for it, if that was pre or post, but there's, see this little blue line here with little squares on it?
Yeah.
That is special rules airspace. So to operate within that area, you have to have special training. You can't fly into that area that it encompasses unless you've had special training. And there's another one I'm going to show you.
Still in Colorado, right?
See that big one right there?
Yeah.
What's that? Grand Canyon. You cannot fly into the Grand Canyon without special training. There's too many tools. So they'll tell you, this is talking about it here. And then the gold box is also to talk about, you can fly over the Grand Canyon. You just have to maintain a certain altitude and above. You can't go too low. They want to separate regular traffic from the tourist traffic. So you must have special training to go in there.
What is the area actually called?
Special flight rules area.
Special
Yep, special flight rules area. There's one around the Hudson, Grand Canyon. You guys notice this? It's this. Yeah. So where's the echo start? Right in here. $14,500 feet MSL. Just those little slivers. I don't know.
Don't ask me.
So those prohibited areas, are those from ground? So, okay.
And they will give altitudes that they go up to in areas.
Okay.
It's all going to be listed on there. But yeah, they will start at the surface.
But you could technically fly over them or something. Some of them. Maybe not in the Cessna, but.
Right. Well, Alpha Airspace, yes. And there are airports inside that area. Well, obviously, if there's airports, there's traffic. So you have to have training before you can operate in that. Airlines can operate in it. You know, they're thin. You can fly in them with special.
Right, I just wasn't
Training,
sure if you
things
could
like
go over them or, you know, like
Right.
what we're talking about.
Yeah, as long as you are cleared into it and you have
Proper training.
proper training and you have everything you need to have taken care of, yes, you can fly anywhere as long as you're okay with it, you're allowed to. There's really, like here, can we do the pattern at 500 feet AGL? Pattern altitude here is 900 feet. Can you fly the pattern at 500 or 700 feet? as long as tower okays it. Nothing wrong with it. The circling minimums for us are 740 feet. So if we shouldn't approach into here, we get down, break through the clouds at 740 feet, we circle and can land on another runway. Pattern is 900, we're at 740. It's totally possible.
Does the white just outline the canyon?
I'm sorry?
Does the white box just outline the canyon?
No, that's a section one.
Oh.
Yeah, that's outlining different charts. What's all this up here? What are all these things?
Individual restricted.
Those are all restricted areas. What's this little blue zipper line looking type of thing? It is just another way to pick the floor of the echo, okay? Basically called blue zipper line, because that's kind of what it looks like. 9,700 feet MSL. Inside here, that's the floor of the echo. Inside this area that's outlined by this little blue, weird hatch marked type of symbol. In here, it's 7,700. 7,700, 9,700, okay? It's just, that's all it is it's another way to show you that, hey, that it's not gonna, they didn't want to make a whole different airspace, that's what it is.
Does blue annotate anything that isn't prohibited or restricted?
Well, the blue hash marking,
I
like
just
like
mean,
this.
because clearly they're not making restricted areas magenta or,
No.
I mean, they're doing
There are-
blue.
yeah,
They're doing
prohibited.
blue, you know,
If you see restricted prohibited, it's gonna be blue like this. And if you see magenta, it's gonna be a MOA or an alert, or a warning. Okay, so yes, good question. Where are we looking at right now? The map, what is this? What are we looking at here? What area are we in? Anybody know?
it's Nevada, so something is
It's just north of Vegas. This is the practice area for Nellis Air Force Base. Guess what goes on in here?
What's
There's
there
no firing. Why it's restricted. So
What do you mean when you said like the floor of echo? I didn't fully understand.
that's where the echo begins. It's the floor. You have a ceiling and then the floor, the bottom versus the top. So the floor would be the bottom of that airspace. That's where it starts and goes up from there. So
Is that
the
on?
floor is 9,700 feet MSL here. It's off below this. So rather than, because that's one of those situations where it's not 700, it's not 1,200, and it's not 14,500. It's going to be charted and tell you specifically what the floor of the echo is, so it's called below that.
I'm curious, could you look over Yuma?
Yuma? Yuma can.
I just want to see what Yuma looks like because there's practice areas there with their season.
Where,
Was that a thing? Like
where exactly is Yuma?
Arizona?
Yeah, I know that, but where, like?
Southwest someplace. Go to San Diego and then go east, literally, directly.
So we're looking roughly, so that should be San Diego, no, Santa Barbara. So, well, there's a MOAs, these are Bakersfield MOA, here's the Sierra Nevadas, here's more restricted, this is China Lake.
Yeah, so it'd be around that area.
So you've got restricted and you've got MOAs.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because I didn't know if there was, it would be a red line if it was a conditional restriction, right? That's what you said, like around DC.
Oh, term, in TFR, so that's not charted. That was actually provided, like flights go, or I'm sorry, for flight, things like that, we'll put that on there.
Okay.
So you can look at it. You have to actually look at the NOTAMs to know that that area is actually like that, because it's not charted.
Okay. Yeah, and I should have been more forthcoming, but I was just kind of curious if there's such thing as like a seasonal restriction, because an area like, say, Yuma, it's a very big general aviation
Yeah.
practice area, but also during WTI or ITX or any of those, you got a lot of people flying around.
I would
so
imagine-
that would be restricted.
Possibly, I would imagine this just kind of, well, you can have the restricted ones that are just NOTAM based.
Okay.
So, and then the NOTAM will come out and say, hey, during this period of time, these timeframes, it is restricted. Otherwise, it's cold outside of that.
Okay.
And that could be what it is.
Because I was wondering, because there was a huge GA airfield,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you can't have guys out there while you got.
Right. Well, and we use the one over there. That's where a lot of the multi-engine stuff is done, is the one right over there by Bryant, because not a lot of people go bombing through it. And if it's cold, you can get whatever altitudes you want. And you want altitude when you're doing single engine operations in a multi. You want plenty of space to restart that engine, recover the plane. So, all right. this is just an idea of all the different airspaces and how they're charted, okay? We talked about, golf and how golf is charted, or is not charted, it's just inferred. But those little blue lines, the little zipper lines, is another way that you infer golf, okay? And they're all over the place. So you just got to be aware of them. And when you see them, that's what it's talking about. The number that you see that's associated with it, find another one. Oh, let's go back up. The number that's associated with it is the altitude. That's where the echo starts, okay? So again, on this one, echo starts at 9,700 feet. Below that's golf. All right?
Something that's not covered by radar.
Not reliably
Okay.
in that area.
Okay.
All right. Questions on the airspace so far, on what we've talked about?
What does MOA stand for again?
Military operation area. So can you go into those MOAs and alerts?
Yes.
Yes. What do you need to do if you do go into those areas?
Definitely doesn't.
Nope. Don't have to talk to anybody about it. Exercise vigilance. Okay. You're gonna have very fast typically, but more often than not, these airplanes that are gonna be operating in those areas, beside that are military, are camouflaged. They're meant to be hard to find, so it can be very difficult to find them. And a lot of them will be very fast moving, like the MOAs and the alerts around us. F-22s like to play in. And so they're hard to see.
They usually don't have their running lights on.
And typically, well, if they're operating around us, I don't know about the alert area, practice areas. I've never been out there. If they're playing like war games, they probably turn all the lights off. When they're doing NVG ops, the lights are probably out. Sir.
Yeah, they also have special tricks like GPS jamming during the summer.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
In our mowers up here, they do GPS jamming, so you damn well better know when those are hot and when they're not.
They can do a lot of stuff that will mess with this. Just be aware that if you go in those areas, watch for them. Be very cautious. I would highly recommend getting flight following. They will know where they're at because they're still communicating with somebody.
They'll usually post on the JRO red flags when they're doing their jam.
Yes, and you'll know what's going on. And really, what they're doing is they're jamming each other's radars, which is jamming all the signals because it's very high powered. But anyway, anything else on the airspace so far that we've talked about? Weather minimums. So what's the regulation that we need to go to for basic VFR weather minimums?
1 mile visibility.
What's the regulation? 91, decimal 155. 14 CFR 91, section 155. Okay? Now, what are the basic VFR weather minimums? What do you have to have in order to take off, land, or enter the traffic pattern at in control airspace at a class Bravo, Charlie, Delta, or Echo airport? What weather minimums are required for that to take off, land, and enter the traffic pattern? Everybody go to 91, 155. Now, I said weather minimums. I didn't say anything about your distances from clouds, okay? What are the different categorical outlooks?
Clear clouds for Bravo, 500 people.
Not looking for cloud clearances. So it's not going to be on that chart. You actually have to go into the reading of the regulation itself. Go down, I'll give you a hint. Go take a look at Charlie and Delta, paragraphs Charlie and Delta. And while some of you are looking that up, what are the different categorical outlooks? What's one? It's on the board right now. VFR is one. What's another one? IFR is another one. What's another one?
Is it special VFR?
Nope. And then
Marginal.
those are the four category outlooks. They are in the aim. And they describe the visibility and ceiling requirements for each. So, what are the ceiling requirements, the visibility and ceiling requirements for basic VFR? To take off, land, and enter the traffic pattern at a Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airport.
At least 3 statute.
3 statute miles of visibility. Okay, either it reported, or if it's not reported at that airport, you need to be able to determine that you have 3 miles of visibility from the air. Okay, falls on you at that point. What's the other part? Ceiling.
Person may operate beneath, less than 1,000.
You must have at least 1,000-foot ceilings. What's a ceiling? What constitutes a ceiling? What kind of cloud coverage do you have to have? You got overcast or broken. You have overcast or broken, that constitutes a ceiling. You have to have at least 1,000-foot ceiling.
What's broken?
Broken is where you can still see, it's not full cloud coverage, there is some open space.
Okay.
But it is, the vast majority of it is cloud coverage. So, okay? 3 statute miles of visibility, 1,000-foot ceilings, you have to have that. Okay, those are the basic VFR weather minimums. If you are ever asked that, that's what that means. Now, you do have cloud clearance requirements for the different airspaces you operate in. What do you have to maintain in alpha? How far away from the clouds and what visibility do you have to have in alpha? Thank you. You don't. It's IFR. There are no requirements in alpha. You have to be IFR rated, IFR flight plan, IFR capable, and it's IFR. So there are none. All right. Bravo, ma'am. You already said it.
Clear clouds, 3 statute miles.
3 statute miles of visibility, and you have to remain clear of clouds. That is it for Bravo. Okay? Dodge and weave through the clouds. But you have to have at least 3 miles of visibility. What about Charlie?
3 statute miles, 500 feet below, 1,000 feet above, 2,000 foot.
Fix this now.
Good answer.
Can't believe I missed that. All right, say that again. Well, I'll say it. Go ahead. 3 statute miles of visibility, 500 below the clouds, 1,000 above, 2,000 horizontal. Okay, that is what you have to maintain in Class Charlie airspace. Delta's the same. Echo below 10,000 is the same. But Echo and Golf get a little weird. It gets a little convoluted. If you look at the chart in 91-155, it's got a lot of stuff. Delta's not too, or sorry, Echo's not too bad. It has below 10,000 feet MSL and above 10,000 feet MSL. Really, it's not terrible. Golf can get to be a nightmare. Okay? So, here you go. Same, same. All right? Now, for Echo, above 10,000 feet, gotta fix that too. Oh, so below 10,000 feet, 3 statute miles, 500 below, 1,000 above, 2,000 horizontal. But above 10,000 feet, it's 5 statute miles of visibility, 1,000 feet below, 1,000 feet above, and 1 statute mile horizontal. All right? So let's talk about these.
Mile of visibility.
1 statute mile visibility, you need to be able to see at least that far.
How can you gauge that?
Good question. Sometimes it's a wag. Other times, you look at things you know are a certain distance from you. When we're flying out in the practice area, I know that if I can see sleeping lady, I've got greater than 10 statute miles of visibility. I just know that because you can look and see that you look on your chart is way outside 10 miles. If I can see Blue River Valley, I've got better than 10 statute miles. If I'm coming in, I'm hitting the shoreline and I can't see Merrifield, it's getting close. We're getting down to maybe less than 3 miles at that point. Sir.
Yeah, so 1,000 feet above the clouds or above the surface? Or
Say, okay, for the
The minimums, so you have 5 feet below the cloud, 500 feet below the cloud.
You must stay 500 feet below the cloud and 1,000 feet above the cloud, because the cloud's gonna be a certain thickness. You can be below or above it, you can't be in it. So you have to be at least 1,000 feet above it. So you're high. Any idea how hard it is to tell 500 feet and 1,000 feet below you're in the air from a cloud? There's zero reference to cloud in clouds.
Could be any
Nothing
size.
to reference. All right, I have had instructors tell me, oh, the ceilings out there are like 3,000 feet. It's like, you're insane. I can see the top of Sleeping Lady. That's at least, 4,500 feet. Clearance is probably close to 5,000 feet. They swear that it's only 3,000 because it's right above them. What you have to do is start climbing up, and you test it. So you start to see that you're getting into it. Like, okay, cool. Now descend. Oh, there's 500 feet. It looks super close at 500 feet. Go out there. A pattern at 500 feet feels really, really, really low. Insanely low. You're really close to it. So 1,000 feet really isn't much different. It's very hard to tell. Try gauging 1 statute mile from a cloud horizontal. Good luck. Just keep a distance from it.
But you could just go up and watch your altitude, right?
But not horizontally.
Uh,
Horizontally is going to be really hard because you can't even tell where a cloud starts and ends sometimes. So,
Featureless.
but a good question for you guys is, why is it 500 below and 1,000 above? Why is it that way? Why is it only 500 below?
Store a bunch of moisture and stuff up on it.
We get more time,
Why?
have more time, so we lower the ground.
But you can get closer to the clouds on the bottom side.
Right.
But you can see below you if there's no clouds below you.
Easier to descend. than it is to-
Say it.
So it's easier to descend.
Bingo.
Gravity.
Way easier to lose altitude. If somebody comes down, your reaction time is limited when you only have 500 feet, but you can lose altitude very quickly. It's not so easy to gain it. And that's why 2,000 horizontal closing rates really can get really high. So you don't have, the reaction time is less. You're giving, by setting it, you're compensating for that reaction time and the ability to escape. So they make you have greater distances when it's harder to escape. That's why 5 statute miles now, 1,000 below, 1,000 above, and 1 statute mile horizontal. Why above 10,000 feet do they get bigger? I wouldn't so much go there. It's something else, but it does have something to do with engine performance.
There's a lot of bigger planes up there,
Bigger, faster planes.
so you need more.
Closure rates are much higher, so you need more visibility. Now, again, we're only talking VFR airplanes, but you're going to be up there operating around IFR traffic that will be coming out of clouds. And those aircraft above 10,000 feet, a lot of them are going to be jets. So a lot greater performance. All right, this is the easy stuff. All right? Then you get into the nastiness that is golf. So below 1,200 feet AGL, that number should stick in your brain. Why? What's significant about 1,200 feet AGL? Yes, echo outside the hard side of the magenta vignette. It's 1,200 feet AGL. Now, what's the minimum? It's almost nothing. 1 mile visibility. Who's ever been in an airplane with 1 statute mile visibility? You can't see anything, can you? You feel like you're in a cloud. You're basically in the fog. You can't see anything. And then clear clouds can be right in them, basically. What's the difference between haze and fog? Well, you can't fly in fog. Fog's a cloud. Fly in haze, though.
That's not a cloud. That's only a little haze.
It's hard to report it. I have 1 statute amount of visibility in haze. Give me fog? Nope, it's haze.
Is there a reason to want to fly in clouds besides the fact that you can't see anything?
Say again?
Is there a reason you don't want to fly in clouds besides the fact that you can't see anything?
That would be the reason.
Okay.
We're VFR, we are see and avoid.
Okay.
Okay? So, 10,000 feet MSL, below 10,000 feet MSL, but above 1,200 feet. There will be places around mountains where you'll be above 1,200 feet AGL, but you're still within 1,200 feet. Or I'm sorry, you'd be above 1,200 feet MSL, but you're still within the mountains, so you're close to the ground, okay? That's why even here, Denali anyone? It's above 10,000 feet. You can still be around it and that should be in Gulf airspace. Okay. I wouldn't recommend it, but. So
Yes.
10,000 feet, one statute mile visibility, 500 below, 1,000 above, 2,000 horizontal. Okay? Now, this should look familiar. Above 10,000 feet MSL, 5 statute miles of visibility, 1,000 below, 1,000 above, 1 statute mile horizontal. And then we throw in night, okay? Night only applies to below 10,000 feet and below these two, okay? This is less restrictive than this, isn't it? So you always go with the most restrictive for that airspace. So a night does not apply to 10,000 feet. Night does apply to these two because these ones are both on 1 statute mile visibility. So at night, your visibility comes back to something that's very familiar. Statute miles is 500 below, 1,000 above, 2,000 horizontal. Now, what if you're riding in these airspaces, except for Alpha, because it doesn't matter. You want to come into land at an airport that's Bravo, Charlie, Delta, or Echo, but you don't have visibility requirements, or you have a less than 1,000 foot ceiling. What do? You're VFR. You are not an IFR capable pilot. You're strictly VFR. What do? Divert, go somewhere else?
Contact ACC and have them clear the airspace, so.
Can you go so far?
You could, if you wanted to.
Get a special VFR.
You could do a special VFR. What is a special VFR?
I put it on the spot.
I did. I'll do that sometimes.
I'll give you the first part, that's it.
Okay. I'll give you something else to think about. Golf below 1,200. Special VFR is you're just requesting that ATC give you the ability to fly at golf below 1,200 minimums. What were those?
Visibility, clear cut.
That's it. That's a special VFR. You can't maintain the ones for that airspace, so they're going to reduce it to golf below 1,200, which is the least restrictive. You're flying, you're in haze. That's all it is. Not cloud, it's haze. You're clear clouds. And you just fly it in, you visually approach the airport. You need to be able to see where you're at still and see other traffic and avoid them and safely fly the airplane in. I've been flying now since June or August, I can't remember. I think it was June of 2014. And up until probably October of last year, I've never done a special. I've done 3 since.
What did you do in those situations before?
Never had to.
Oh, okay.
Never ran into a situation where I needed one. But here in the wintertime, when the temperatures drop, fog comes in quickly out of nowhere. And it limits visibility. The first time I had to do it, it was covering the east side of the airport. You could not come in from Birchwood area. From the practice area, you could easily see downtown, and you could see the runway. But the airport was reporting IFR. Well, if the airport's reporting less than VFR minimums, which would be 3 statute miles, 3 statute miles of visibility with 1,000 foot ceiling, that's marginal. That's the very lowest of marginal. Then you have to request a special. So I requested it through Anchorage Approach. They coordinated with Merrill, got me approved, and I maintained the special VFR minimums and landed the airplane no problem. I basically was with VFR the whole time because I had great visibility and great no ceilings until we got midfield. But by that time, I was already taxiing off the runway. Another time, it came in. I knew it was a possibility, but it came in a whole lot faster than I thought it would. So we had to get a special coming in. Visibility was down to between 2 and 3 miles, I'd say, because I was over. I was approaching the Sheridan from the west, coming in, landing on runway 7, so it means I was heading east. Couldn't see the airport. Couldn't see the runway at about just past the Hilton. Still couldn't see the airport. So visibility is getting low, but eventually we did see it. And we landed fine. And then another time coming in from the south. Picked up weather. Everything was great. As soon as we got past the inlet, dropped down by Potter's Marsh, they had gone IFR. So I had to coordinate with Approach again. They got me around and then landed on 7 again. It likes to come in from the east a lot of times. 3 times I've had to get it. Worked out every time. So it all happens. And it's good practice because it's totally legal. Wouldn't recommend it as. That's one of those things where you may be legal and you may be current for something, but you may not be proficient enough to do it, okay? That comes on you guys for determining your own personal limits.
So if you're flying in the Birchwood, which is uncontrolled, and you saw like on ForeFlight that the minimums had dropped, the IFAR, and you could still request special for that,
You don't need to for golf. Remember,
it's on your own risk.
it is one in clear clouds to operate in that airport. So as long as it's reporting, at least that, it's on you. But getting into there, you're probably in echo, so you need to maintain echo requirements until you get there.
Yeah.
They're not gonna give you a special, you fly from here to there. It'll only be, you don't ask for a special into the airport because you don't need it. You just have to drop down low enough to where you're in Gulf airspace, which is pretty low. You're gonna have to be at 700 feet.
Yeah.
But if you're flying along the highway, 700 feet's legal. You gotta be 500 feet above,
Any obstacle.
the obstacles. So, okay, questions on this? The airspace, the weather, this is all stuff you have got to know, must know. All right, I guarantee you, well, one, it's gonna be on the test, but two, this will come up on the check run. This will be a big part of it, when part of your flight planning, because they'll ask you along the route, like, oh, okay, well, what airspace are we flying in? What are the cloud clearance requirements? What do you need to maintain? It will come up, okay? Basics of flight planning. What is 91-103?
Pre-flight action.
Good, pre-flight action. What is the first part of it? Loud and proud.
Each pilot command shall, before beginning a flight, become familiar with all available information
Stop.
concerning that flight.
All available information concerning that flight. Each pilot in command. So, you should never state over the radio to ground or to tower or to approach or to center or to TRACON or anyone else that I'm not familiar with this airspace or not familiar with this airport or not familiar with something, because you must become familiar with all available information concerning that flight. There's no excuse. You know where you're going. Regs state you have to do it. You look at the charts, you look at the chart supplements, you look at the notice, you call your grandma if she lives on the route, you find out what the weather's like, you find out what the airspace is like, you just do your due diligence. Because if something happens, who is responsible? Pilots, you are. Okay, so become familiar with all available information. Well, what is all available information? Somebody define that. Everything that you can think of and that you can't. Everything. So that's where, again, you go back to that little game I said, play the what if game. Start asking questions. What if something happens? What if this? What if that? What if I'm not getting the performance I need? So obviously airworthiness is part of it. Does anybody recognize these two things? Cave and I'm safe? Yep, we did. What are they? PAVE is a general airworthiness checklist. Okay? It's a risk management guide for you. B, pilot in command, or passengers if you're me. I like pilot in command passengers. A, aircraft. B, environment. E, external factors or external pressures. I'm safe. That is one for the pilot and passenger. Illness, medication, alcohol. I'm sorry, illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and emotion. So check it. Constantly maintaining this for yourself. Some of these change in the air. All right? Airworthiness is not just the airplane. Are you airworthy? Is the environment airworthy? Do you have the weather minimums necessary for that flight? What's the weather going to do? What's it forecasted to do? What are you familiar with the area doing based on the forecast? Because there are plenty of times where forecast I've seen here says clear. Then I look at the temperature dew point and I see that it's saying scattered at 800. It's like, nope, we're going to get fog. 2 hours later, we got fog. Never wasn't forecasted. That's knowing the area, talking to people that know the area. You're never going to have all the information. You have to do as much as you can, though. Okay? So, airworthiness. What do you do to help make sure that the airplane is airworthy. How? What are you doing? Okay, pre-flight. What else should you do? Who has that little sheet that I gave you, the airworthiness checklist? What's the first section of that? Documents. You got to make sure you have all the proper documents, okay? Regulations are, I put all the regs on there also, so you know if there's a reg associated with it, you have to have it, okay? What's the next one? Inspections. You need to know the maintenance that's been performed on your aircraft you're about to fly. What if it's due an annual and you decide, yeah, we'll go. And you have to check, and you go for the annual. That's a problem.
Is there like maintenance logs that you look at?
There are maintenance logs. All of our aircraft maintenance logs are stored over in the hangar.
And I don't have like all its most recent,
I'm sorry?
they don't have like all its most recent.
Yeah.
check on it.
What about, somebody's been reporting an issue with one of the brakes is they're having an issue, the brake goes in the floor, it's inoperative at times. Might want to know about that. So know the maintenance history of the airplane you're about to fly. You cannot fly an airplane that's going to be due maintenance. So you got to know if maintenance is done. What else is on there?
ADs.
Airworthiness directives. Well, if there's an AD due and you take the airplane and something happens to you, I guarantee you that NTSB is going to say that was a contributing factor to the crash, even if it's for seatbelt. Okay? You can't fly an airplane that has an AD that's due. So you need to verify the ADs are okay. That is going to be going to the FAA website, searching the airplane and the serial number. The data plate's on there, isn't it? First one under the documents. First one's data plate with the serial number.
First one, status.
No, I'm sorry, back up to the documents.
Your first one.
External data plate, serial number is right next to it, huh? This way you can put the serial number for the airplane on it. You know what it is, so when you look up airworthiness directives, you know if it's applicable to that serial number. Okay? So airworthiness directives, you got 337s, that goes along with supplemental type certificates. If anything has been added to the airplane after the fact that requires a supplemental type certificate, the 337s are associated with it. That's for the maintenance that was performed. So you need to check for 337s. Zero Whiskey was gonna have a 337 because they were upgrading from the KLN 94 to the GPS or the Garmin JNS 430.
If you have 337s on your plane, do you have to keep those forms with you at all the time?
No.
You just have to know about them.
It has to have been documented at some point.
Okay.
And as soon as it's been passed on to the next owner, they can disappear. What else after 337s, after the ADs, what else is on there? All right, so we've got the VF required equipment. How about the bottom right corner? What's the last one say? Inoperative instruments and equipment. What happens? How are we going to find out if there's something inoperative on the airplane? We go back to the pre-flight. Yeah, we're doing pre-flight. You find something that doesn't work. What do you do? Can you take the airplane?
Depends on what it is.
Do we have any else? No. We don't have minimum equipment lists. Okay? So let's say that the vacuum gauge isn't working for some reason. Okay? You go out there, or no, we won't use the vacuum gauge. Let's use something else that's going to show up on the pre-flight. Pitot heat doesn't work. Pitot heat doesn't work. It's summertime. Okay? What do? You take it?
What's the matter? Do you really want to fight it?
Who has ever read, well, no, none of you guys have. Go, I want somebody to pull out their Pilot Handbook Aeronautical Knowledge real fast. Pop it up here fast. I can't remember what it said exactly. I really don't remember those. There's- All right. Somebody. I'm gonna zoom into it, and I want somebody to read the terms and conditions for me. All right, can you guys read right here? Terms and conditions, number 6. Can anybody see that? It's 9-7 in the book, if you can, if you have it.
Unless sooner surrendered, suspended, revoked, or termination date is otherwise established by the administrator, this airworthiness certificate is effective as long as the maintenance, preventative maintenance, and alterations are performed in accordance with parts 21, 43, and 91 of the Federal Aviation Regulations as appropriate, and the aircraft is registered in the United States.
So, airworthiness certificate is required in the airplane. It is a completely worthless document unless you have done that and verified the preventative maintenance, preventative maintenance and alterations are done in accordance with the regulations, okay? It's completely worthless unless you've done that. Now, when that airworthiness certificate was issued, did everything work on that airplane? Everything worked. Are you allowed to fly an unairworthy airplane? No. So if something's not operational that was operational, are you allowed to fly it?
Very permanent.
Totally different. And that is a huge ass pain, getting a ferry permit. It can be time consuming or not. You're not going to get one for an unoperative PO either. Okay? What you do is you go to a regulation. Anybody know what that regulation is? Should, because it's on that paper I gave you. 91-213. I even broke it down further and said Delta 2. Because everything before that, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie was talking about MELs, which we don't have. Okay? So, pitot heat does not work. You can't just take the airplane. You have to go through a process to determine that you can fly the airplane. Because the FAA understands not every airplane is going to have everything working all the time. Things break. It's mechanical. Certain things are not required for flight if you deem it safe. Okay? So the first thing they're going to tell you to do is check something. On our checklist, what's the first thing that it says to do? I'll go to the bottom right corner where the inoperative instruments and equipment. What's the first thing it says to do on there? This is on the sheet that I gave you guys. Or you can go to the reg if you want.
I got the right. Is it required for VFR data certificate?
VFR day type certificates. Does anybody know what that is? Type certificate data sheet, TCDS. If it has one on every airplane. TCDS is what you're going to look at. Okay? You just look it up. Cessna's, it has all 172s kind of clumped together on it. You just go down the list and find the one, your Cessna. Find out if it's required equipment for that airplane. Or its VFR day type certificate. Okay? What if it's not on there? What's the next thing you do? Check the aircraft equipment list. It's not an MEL. But the Cessna is really good about this. Piper, and Diamond, it didn't seem to have one in it, I don't think. I'd have to look again. Not every aircraft manufacturer will provide that to you. So if it doesn't have it, you don't worry about it. But they will have a TCDS that you can look at. Okay? Check the manufacturer equipment list. That's pretty simple. It's going to tell you if it's required, standard, optional, or optional in addition to required or standard. Okay? If it has an R on it, it's required. Can't go without it. I don't think the POD is required. I think it's standard. But it might be required. If it is required, guess what? You can't go. It must be operational for you to go. Now, if it's standard or anything else, cool. What's the next step? Are there any ADs that state that this is required equipment? None that I know of for a POD. Okay? What's the final one? Or what's the next step? 203. 205, I'm sorry. 91205. Well, I provided that to you guys, okay? 91205 is what a lot of instructors will tell you, oh, this is all you have to do for airworthiness. That is incorrect. 91213. Inoperative instruments and equipment is the title of 91-213. The title of 91-205 is certification requirements, instruments and equipment. It has nothing to do with something inoperative, okay? There's an acronym that instructions will teach you. You don't need to know the acronym. Know the regs. Know that 91-205 will be the next place you go. Look on there for VFR Day. I provided it to you guys right here. Right here, this part of it, okay? It's VFR Day. You will not find pitot heat on there anywhere. It's not required for certification, okay? For VFR Day flight. What's the next step?
Deactivated and placarded.
So it needs to be either removed or deactivated and placarded and with a maintenance entry made. So something has to be done before you can take the flight of the plane. Now, once that's all done, what's the next step?
Determines aircraft is safe to fly.
Who determines the aircraft is safe to fly?
Yes.
Pilot in command. Now, the thing with that is pilot in command can say, nope, not safe, not taking it. But another pilot in command can say it's safe. It's up to each pilot, okay? You make the call for yourself. You don't get to make the call for somebody else. Only for yourself.
It's your life.
Okay? So 91-213, that is what you do if you find something that's not working properly on the aircraft. It's inoperable, okay? All right, back to our slideshow. All right, so airworthiness. So we've got sucks. But you don't have to take it. Go up. Press yourself to go into a bad situation. Because now the weather's deteriorated. Now you have icing. You iced over the airplane. And now you crashed.
And you're dead.
All because you felt like you had to go. You really didn't. See how quickly that escalated?
Now you're dead.
Okay, so that's external pressures. All right, that is part of the airworthiness checklist for ourselves. So for flight planning, performance, what are some of the things for performance that we want to flight plan for?
Cruise altitude.
Let's start at the very beginning. What do you need to calculate before you can even take off? Or before you're in the air? Okay, weight and balance, good. Making sure that we are within weight and balance. What else?
How far we're flying, and fuel requirement.
Okay, fuel requirements that we need, good.
Takeoff weights.
Well, we need our weights. Takeoff distances, climb. Now we're getting into the flight portion of it. What's our cruising speed, our altitude? What's the burn rate for all this? Now the landing. What's the landing distances we need? Cool. What else? So talk about performance, and we talked about cruise. Well, let's talk about the route. Where do we want to fly? Which ways do we want to go? So we're flying from here to Talkeetna. What's a good altitude to fly from here to Talkeetna? 3,500?
2,000.
2,500. Okay. Why? What's wrong with 4,500? What's wrong with 2,000? What is going to determine what altitude you want to fly at on your cruise? Weather, some, yeah, for sure. If you have ceilings that are 5,000 feet, probably 4,500 is about as high as you're going to go. Not going to go any higher. All right. What else? What's another consideration for your route? And
Fuel cost.
okay, how?
If you fly at lower altitudes, you'll get better performance.
How about better winds? Say their winds are calm at one altitude, or you have a tailwind at another. Or if you go up a little higher, you have a headwind now. We prefer to fly with no wind or a tailwind. Okay? So that can contribute to your altitudes. The route you're going to take is going to be landmarks. Think about the route. What's something to consider as you're flying along your route? What if the engine fails?
Backup.
Where are you going to go?
Alternates.
Alternates are good. How about being near roads or fields? Something you can put the plane down in. I really like putting my wheels down on something that is meant to have wheels. There are considerations with that. You do have power lines to worry about sometimes. There are cars on those roads. So railroad tracks aren't bad though. Those are meant to have wheels. So have plans. That's part of your flight planning is the route, okay? What are we talking about right now when we're building the flight plan? ADM, risk management, okay? That what if game, what if something happens, what are we gonna do? All right, when do you need an alternate?
Always.
Always have an alternate. How many alternates should you have? Just one? As many as you can think of. Anything that you can think of along the route that you can make a difference to at any point. Have an idea of the runways they have. Do they have fuel services? That's when your primaries should be, a primary alternate should have fuel services. But if you are getting into bad weather or something in your airplane started to run really rough, you're noticing high oil temps, low oil pressures, you want to get down now, it doesn't matter. It could be a dirt runway. Nobody cares at that point. Better to have a dinged prop from a rock than to have a crashed airplane because you ran out of fuel because you wanted to try to stretch it to a different airport. Okay? This is all part of the risk management. It's all part of your flight planning. The mindset you have to have while you are building your flight plan. Okay? Big Lake. How many airports are around Big Lake? Bunch. How many of them are? So you have two that are chartered that are meant. We've got Big Lake Airport and Goose Bay. They're right there, nice and easy to get to, very easy to see. If you maintain the flyway there, the VFR flyway, you can make either one of them along your route for the most part. You have Willow, just north of Big Lake. Between Willow and Talkeetna, there's not a lot. There's the road. Got the highway slowly laying down on, or near, and there's a railroad there too. There are options. It's all stuff to consider. Plus, how easy do you think it is to maintain your head and know where you're at if you're following a road? You don't even have to worry about passing cars. So, all right, that's what we're considering. Considerations for flight planning, your route. Waypoints. Again, waypoints, I said you want them close enough that you're not going to get lost, but not so close you're constantly doing calculations. What were the distances I recommended after your initial point?
10 miles?
Between 20 and 30 nautical miles. And that's just a good rule of thumb. You don't have to do that. It could be 18 nautical miles. It could be 34 nautical miles. All right? There's really nothing that says it has to be anything. This is on you. This is what you deem safe. If you want to do them every 15, do them every 15. If you want 20, do them 20. Okay? It's up to you guys. Yes, sir.
When you're doing this flight planning, are you planning your elevation as well?
Yes.
You are. So you can't deviate from that.
Absolutely you can.
You can.
I have flight plan. Joe, how many times have we gone on a flight? He's like, oh, we're doing 6,500 today. I'm like, nope, we're doing 2,500.
Every time.
Pretty much every time. We're VFR. Altitude is our discretion.
Okay.
Okay. Now you do get into VFR cruising altitudes above 3,000 feet. AGL. There are specific heading altitudes you need to maintain. If you're on an easterly course, it's going to be Oz plus 500. If you're on a westerly course, it's going to be Evens plus 500. That's above 3,000 feet AGL. If you're at 2,500 feet, you can fly 2,000. You can fly at 3,000. It doesn't matter. You can fly 2,700, 2,400. Pick it. It doesn't matter. It's up to you guys. Another thing to be aware of is other traffic.
Yeah.
When you are flying from here to Talkeetna, you're flying through the farm fields. Guess what altitude everybody's at? 2,500. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get higher. If Denver's landing to the south, they're not going to approve you higher because they've got heavies inbound, and you definitely don't want to get mixed up with them. You'll lose, even if it's just quick turbulence.
Yeah.
You'll still lose. All right.
Paper airplane.
So waypoints, altitudes, and distances. Okay, this is just the basics to it. It's really the flight planning. The hardest part's going to be the calculations. Okay. And we'll go to flight vector real quick, and we'll basically build a quick flight plan up to Talkeetna, just looking at waypoints, okay, that we want to use. So what I would recommend is taking off Adam Merrill. We want something within about 5 miles, something you can see easily, okay? My first point is typically, there it is, Sleeper Strip. Sleeper Strip is right here in the middle. Point no name, Point McKenzie. It's right here, okay? It's pretty easy to see. It's just a little strip on the ground. Runs basically east-west. It's pretty simple to find. Even easier though is to know that if you're between Point Nona and Point McKenzie, that's where you want to be, over the shoreline. You're over your spot. From there, you proceed, you'll turn to the heading that you've calculated. And that's the hard part. That's back to the calculation side, okay? But the picking your waypoints is no big deal. What would be a good waypoint, you think? So we're flying, here's Talkeetna, and here's Sleeper Strip down here, okay? So we have a long distance. So we're gonna just go in here a little ways. What would be a good waypoint in this region? Hey, there you go. So I would not recommend using the Big Lake VOR. Okay, I use Big Lake itself, or another one, Willow is within 30 nautical miles of Sleeper Strip. It's not too far. Willow's pretty easy to see. Big Lake's even easier though. You can't miss Big Lake. Okay, so we're gonna use Big Lake. If you know what you're looking for, you can actually find the VOR. It's pretty simple to see on the ground if you know what you're looking for. Who's seen it? Okay. It's just like a little ice cream cone upside down on the ground. All right. But the Big Lake itself, it's pretty easy. And it doesn't matter which part of Big Lake. As soon as you're at it, stop the timer, record the time, start the timer again, and proceed on. All right, so we picked Big Lake. There you go. What altitude are we going to fly at? Everybody's at or below 2,500. So what altitude do we want? 3,000 if you can get it. 2,500 is fine, typically. Again, areas usually below that. But 3,000 is even better if you can get it. Okay, so we'll say 3,000. Flying 3,000. So Big Lake, what's going to be our next point? Hey, yeah, it's a reporting point. Pretty easy to see. Okay. So we'll go Trapper Lake. Perfect. We're gonna have to make a slight turn to get to it, but that's no big deal. Again, that's all part of we'll calculate that. Okay, we're gonna talk about the true the true heading and all that stuff next week next week we're gonna be dealing with the flight computer. So bring your flight computers in next week, okay? Bring your sectional, bring your plotter, bring everything you need to do a flight plan, because we will do a flight plan from here to Talkeetna. All right? We'll help you out, because your first cross country is going to be here to Talkeetna. Or it might be here to Kenai. That's kind of up to your instructor on the weather, but usually the weather cooperates more for here to Talkeetna. Okay? So you already have the answer going into your first cross country. Let's get to stage 2. All right, so Trapper, what altitude do we want to maintain? 3,000, or do we want to climb? Do we want to descend? What do you guys want to do?
Based off the wind.
Okay, say the winds are calm. It's no big deal at 3,000 feet. It's not going to do anything to us. Climbing burns gas. Maintain. Cool. Now, I would pick, you want to just get to an altitude and maintain that if you can, preferably. But it's whatever you guys want. All right, so Trapper Lake. This is the last distance we need to go. What are the entry procedures into Talkeetna? How do we get into Talkeetna? We need to enter the pattern. Do we do a straight in? What do we do? I'm sorry?
Call radio 50 miles.
Preferable, yeah. Sometimes it's going to be 10. It depends on. So how do you get your frequency change from center if you've got flight following? Besides requesting it. Usually want to be passed off as soon as something has occurred. Airport in sight. As soon as you see the airport, let know. Anchor Center, Sky 339er, we've got current weather at Talkeetna and airport in sight. All right, frequency change approved, squawk VFR, and good flight. Contact common. There you go. Now you switch over. Now you're on the CTAF. Now you make your position report. You call the radio if it's in operation. If it's closed because it's after hours, you're doing a night cross country like Joe and I are about to do, you just make a call out to Talkeetna traffic. Okay? Cool. So we made the call outs. Told me we're about 15 miles to the south. How are we going to enter the pattern here? How are we going to land at that airport? What are we going to do? what are the proper procedures at a non-towered airport? And why didn't I say uncontrolled?
It has radar.
It's echo.
Tower.
Yeah, it's echo. It's controlled airspace. It's just not towered airport. Okay? So it's a non-towered airport. I need to make the call outs. It's my responsibility. How do we get into that airport now? What's the proper procedures?
You're talking about like set
45 degrees to the downwind.
Bingo. 45 degrees to the downwind. At a non-towered airport, that is the proper way. It's the safe way. Now, there's no regulation saying you can't make a straight into runway 01. Typically, that's the easiest way. That's probably what we're going to do next. So no one's going to be in pattern. But if people are operating there, I highly recommend you, especially on just solo flights, fly it out here. Not to these towers out here. Because this one, all pattern entry, is to the west. Why to the west? It's over here. Train. So everything's to the west side of the airport. Now, if you look in your salmon book, it will tell you cannot you have to avoid overflying downtown, talking itself. It gives you an area to look at for the pattern, and that's where you'll enter. It'll just be 45 on the downwind. You'll report your position entering. Left downwind, runway 01, right downwind, runway 17. 19, thank you. That's cool. So at that point, that's it. You're going to want to enter 45 on the downwind, okay? It's the safest way for you guys to get into the airport. That allows you to see traffic in the pattern and enter it predictably and space yourself in between them if necessary. Coming in, it's a lot harder. You all have to gauge distances and closure rates, and that's much more difficult and more dangerous. Okay? That's it for flight planning. Heading up there, that's really all you need for waypoints. We had how many? 3, because we had the first one was straight. Really just, 4, talking about that. That's it. There's really not much to it, okay?
And how long is that flight?
About 40 minutes, 45 minutes with run up and everything.
So you're still spending a quarter of your time working on that flight.
Oh, the building flight plan sometimes takes longer than the flight itself.
Well, no, while you're in the air, just doing the calculation.
So
While you're in the air,
Yeah.
verifying.
yeah, you're still doing it. There's not a lot going on. You will have stretches in across country. You have stretches where there's nothing going on. No one's talking to you. Just get to enjoy the scenery, maintain, your scan, check for traffic, maintain visuals. All right. Any questions? We're not getting out of here until we get questions, so.
Can I go into cross country with you?
Tonight? No, sorry, man.
What's up, man?
It's not very scenic at night.
Join with you and another pilot doing a test flight,
Oh, not test flight.
or not check flight. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Well, they do Geminis, is what do we call, where you're flying with another student and an instructor. That's a Gemini.
Okay.
You can ask about doing a Gemini. So it is a possibility. It's going to be up to, a lot of it's going to be based on weight balance. Yeah, it's totally possible. I can't help you out with flying here right now, so sorry. And it's not going to get much better. I know they're very short on instructors, especially in spring. This one's really backed up. We got 3 instructors, one that just left, another 2 that are on their way out the door. We're also private and commercial instructors. And I'm reducing my workload down here too. Hurting for instructors. Everywhere is hurting for instructors. Actually, no, we're down 4 instructors now. There's one left here and this down there. He completely wiped the schedule and failed.
They should start paying more.
They do pay more. I make less at Angel than I do here, and I fly more there.
Oh, really?
Hours are more
We
important.
have,
Hours are more important than money.
Haglund is taking them at $250 commercial minimums. Actually, less, I think. If you're here, Part 141, you can get it less, so you can get it, as soon as you get your commercial, you're gone. You can leave the Haglund, will snap you up.
You need pilots, is that bad?
I have no idea. I didn't look at it because I'm kind of in that spot right now with my hours that no 135 really wants me, and I don't qualify for the 121. They don't want me because my hours are too high. They know that as soon as I hit 15, I'm out. Well, I'm at 1240. I don't have much left until I'm out. So at this point, for me, it's just keep plugging away and finish. And in June or July, I'm full of jocks. I'm going to a regional. Hagland and Raven, they're pulling people. They're taking, Hagland's taking 250. Raven for the 135 side, flying the 207s, I think they're taking them anywhere between 5 and 1,000. Ace is taking pilots at 1,000 and higher typically. So yeah, there's places to go here. Ryanair is taking them at like commercial mins, I think. So there are places to go. You don't have to stick around. And so, and flying for a 135 operator, you can get more hours faster. One of the issues here is we're really restricted. One, we only have a handful of Cessnas. We only have a handful of planes to fly. Maintenance really affects us. Weather really affects us. Less so with a 135 operator. So those are things that kind of hurt. That's why it's becoming very hard for flight schools to maintain their flight instructor pool because they're pulling chalk so fast. So it's good for us as pilots. It's really difficult as students at this point getting through the process. So it can be tough. Be patient, study, okay? The more you know on the ground, the faster the flying is going to go. The ground stuff is going to slow you down. So if you focus on that now, the flying will come easier. Read the airplane flying handbook. Know the maneuvers before you start doing the maneuvers. Know what's the whole purpose of them and how to execute. Okay? So just study. Stay in the books. Stay on it. Practice. Play around with flight planning. Pick. So, fantasize a little bit. Like, when I get my private, I can't wait to go fly here, and I'll take my family to do this. We'll do that. Practice doing that because now you're talking about learning about the airspace you're going to be flying at, the airports. You're looking at the airports, figuring out performance. All that stuff is good practice because that's what you're going to have to do once you start flying. Okay? It's good practice. So build flight plans. Practice with that stuff. See what it takes to fly from, we did flight plans from Colorado to New Mexico because somebody wanted to go look at an airplane there, and they wanted me to fly with them. I was like, cool, can we do it? It's pretty close because mountains are kind of high, but there were ways to get through it. And I built flight plans. I looked at the airspace, weather minimums, performance, all that stuff. Okay, it's good practice. So I recommend doing that while you guys wait, because there will be a wait, but it's totally worth it. All right, no other questions?
So next week, we're actually going to be doing flight plans. So
We will be doing calculations for flight plans. Yeah, we will be building the nav logs, okay? All right, guys? So bring all your stuff because we will spend all of next week flight planning. And sign in if you haven't.